Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. The death toll is on the rise in Egypt. Security forces moved in to clear camps filled with people pushing for ousted President Mohamed Morsi to be returned to power. There are reports 25 protesters were killed in the early morning raid, but Muslim Brotherhood leaders say they lost at least 120 people. From the air and the ground, Egyptian security forces fired tear gas into two sprawling camps on opposite sides of Cairo early Wednesday. Riot police moved in with armored cars and bulldozers to break up the massive sit-ins staged in support of ousted President Mohamed Morsi. It is the latest chapter in months of turmoil in the country. In July, massive protests forced the military to remove President Mohamed Morsi from power. Then, Morsi's supporters, backed by the Muslim Brotherhood, fought back with sit-ins, giving birth to massive camps in Cairo, like this one. It has its own restaurants, barbershops, and a fully functioning hospital with millions of dollars worth of donated equipment.
We are here. We will stay here. We will stand here.
This camp has been home to thousands of Morsi supporters for more than a month. They've simply ignored orders from Egyptian police and the military, who have promised to dismantle the camps.
It's not about making a point. Oh, we made a point a long time ago. It's about teaching the army a lesson. You do not belong on the political scene. You do not have the right to choose sides.
And later in this broadcast, we'll bring you a story on the persecution Egypt's Christians are suffering in the midst of all this unrest. Israeli-Palestinian peace talks are scheduled to resume today. As a condition, Israel had to take a controversial step, releasing dozens of Palestinian terrorists overnight as a gesture to the Palestinian Authority. CBN's Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has more.
Palestinians celebrated in the streets as they welcomed the 26 prisoners released from Israeli jails. Most had been convicted of stabbing, hacking, clubbing, or shooting to death Israelis and Palestinian collaborators. Most had served at least 20 years. More than half of the prisoners were released to the Gaza Strip, some of them from Hamas. Hamas is not involved in peace talks and still calls for the destruction of the State of Israel. Israelis across the board were angry over the release of terrorists. Some protested after the Supreme Court rejected a petition by victims to delay the release.
We came here to say enough is enough. 8 times they released murderers and terrorists that brought us more murders.
This was just the first of several releases of 104 terrorists intended to help negotiations. There's a complete media blackout regarding the Israeli-Palestinian talks, but expectations here are low that they'll lead to an agreement. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Israel is moving forward with plans to build nearly 900 new housing units in East Jerusalem. Palestinians claim the move undermines the new peace talks. They persistently object to Israeli construction, arguing Israel is building on their land. But Israel is building in East Jerusalem, which is part of the Jewish capital.
Israel is only building in areas where there's a clear consensus that they will stay part of Israel in any final status peace agreement. We're building in Jerusalem in the large blocks. And in every peace plan that's been on the table in the last 15 years, those areas say stay part of Israel. And I fail to see how building in these areas prevents the peace process from moving forward.
Meanwhile, the New York Times reports Palestinians are building an entirely new city in the West Bank, or the biblical area known as Judea and Samaria. Israel is not objecting. The American pastor in prison in Iran is suffering from increasing pain from his internal injuries. Pastor Saeed Abedini sustained the injuries from intense beatings he's received since being put in prison for his faith. Iranian authorities did allow him to be treated by a doctor at a local hospital, and he has been on medication. But his pain has gotten so bad at one point he fainted. His family was able to see him briefly earlier this week. Well, imagine living in fear you could be kidnapped at any time. That's what life has been like for young Christian girls in Egypt. And other Christians have suffered terrible attacks from Muslims there for years. Even more so since the ouster of Mohamed Morsi. Gary Lane brings us their story now from Minya, Egypt.
Egyptian Christians are frequent targets of attack during times of political instability. As a minority in a Muslim country, They've also struggled for years, not only to protect their churches, homes, and businesses, but also their daughters. One of the challenges facing Christian families here, particularly in Upper Egypt, is the kidnapping of young Christian girls. It generally happens when the girls enter their teen years. So what are families to do about this? Some move away to Christian villages, relocating. But with that comes a whole new set of challenges. Manel moved her family from a Muslim village to a Christian one near Almenia. She wanted to protect her oldest daughter, Mariam, from abduction and forced conversion. She made the decision after noticing some Muslim girls and boys attempting to lure Mariam away from her family and faith.
The girls used to tell Mariam, "Come with us, we will give you some money. You are having a hard life." The young boys were sending the young girls to do this. I feared they would kidnap her and then demand a lot of money to return her, or they would return her and she wouldn't be in the same condition she was in as when they kidnapped her.
Now, residing as strangers in a new town, her husband has difficulty finding work.
I'm much happier now because it is safe for my daughters here, but there are not many work opportunities for my husband because few people know him here.
Miriam's family borrowed money to buy food and make their house payment. They prayed God would provide help. She and her family are not alone. Last year, a Helsinki Commission hearing revealed the number of disappearances and abduction of Christian girls is increasing. Human trafficking expert Michelle Clark told of more than 800 cases. Still, many Islamic leaders and government officials debunk claims that Christian girls are being trafficked. They insist the conversions and marriages are not forced. They're simply the result of young love. Helmi El Sayed is Freedom and Justice Party Secretary for Giza.
A boy and a girl from different religions love each other, and thus one of them converts his religion in order to get married. The problem is that families do not accept that. Also, the two religions, neither the church accepts any of its people to Islam because of love, nor Islam accepts this type of conversion.
Sayed claims it's a social problem that must be addressed, not a religious one. Earlier this year, the Coptic Orthodox Patriarch told me that efforts to prevent trafficking and forced conversions often fail.
This is a very sensitive issue for us. We try with the government, with the local authorities. Sometimes we success, but sometimes no success.
The Morsi government did little to curtail the trafficking. Political change gives many Egyptian Christians hope. They pray the next government will force police to treat Christian kidnapping complaints seriously. They also want to see the government prosecute the kidnappers. As for Mariam and her family, their prayers for help were answered. CBN provided them with the seed money needed to start a small clothing business.
My daughters and I will tell people in the church that we sell new clothing and the profits we get will help buy clothes for my children and feed my family. May the American Christians who help us have a long life, and may God be with them to help others like me to become self-supporting.
Help that brings a glimmer of hope and a new beginning in Egypt. Gary Lane, CBN News, Cairo.
The U.S. is willing to engage North Korea to secure the release of imprisoned American Christian Kenneth Bae. A State Department spokesman says the U.S. is, quote, willing to consider a number of different options to bring him home. In a video recently released by a North Korean newspaper, Bae requested the U.S. send a high-ranking official to North Korea to seek his pardon. It is unclear if Bae was speaking freely in this video. The 45-year-old was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor for sharing his faith. Bae suffers from health problems such as diabetes and is currently hospitalized. California Governor Jerry Brown has signed a law that lets transgender students use public bathrooms according to the gender they identify with. So boys who think they're girls are now free to use girls' bathrooms and vice versa. The new rules also apply to school showers, locker rooms, and other facilities. The Pacific Justice Institute is vowing to help students who feel violated by the new law.
We at the Pacific Justice Institute stand ready and willing to defend anyone who will be victimized as a result of this new law. That includes someone whose privacy rights are violated in the bathroom, in the locker room, in the showers, or someone who is prevented from playing on a sports team because someone from the opposite gender took their place.
Now, if you want more information, go to cbnnews.com. We've got a link to the Pacific Justice Institute's Gender Insanity website where you can speak out about that new California law. A Christian couple in Iowa has gotten vicious threats for refusing to rent their business facility for a same-sex marriage. And TheBlaze.com reports they fear their business could be shut down. Dick and Betty Odgaard own an art and framing flower shop in Grimes. The couple say a couple wanted to use it for their marriage, but the Odgaards refused because of their Christian convictions. They then began receiving threats, many of them vulgar, and their business has lost money. The Odgaards say they have business associates, friends, and former staff members who are gay and have nothing against them. And they say they would serve the gay couple in any other way. Coming up, giving is an essential part of the Christian faith, but would you give up one of your organs to a stranger? We'll meet a man who did just that.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
From CBN.
Broken ear.
The American Civil Liberties Union and Southern Coalition for Social Justice have filed a federal lawsuit against North Carolina. The group says a new state law requiring voters to show an official photo ID violates the Voting Rights Act. Governor Pat McCrory called the law common sense in a video response to critics on YouTube.
They're more interested in divisive politics than ensuring that no one's vote is disenfranchised by a fraudulent ballot. Protecting the integrity of every vote cast is among the most important duties I have as governor.
A majority of North Carolina voters support the law. Early voting will be cut by a week, and same-day registration and out-of-precinct voting will no longer be options. The new law won't come into effect until 2016, giving voters 3 years to get their accepted form of identification. Researchers in Houston have conducted 3,000 free MRI heart screenings for teenagers. The president of the Texas Heart Institute says about 1 young athlete dies unexpectedly every month during sporting activities. So he wants to learn which children are at risk of a heart attack and why.
And it's our hope, Dr. Angelini's and mine, that this would lead to a screening process in all schools ultimately. It would be nearly foolproof. It would prevent this problem.
I think it's good because if kids just have a heart attack and fall over, they might be able to find a way to stop it.
The number of serious heart problems discovered so far is 5 times higher than researchers expected. Texas Heart Institute plans to give at least 10,000 total free heart screenings, but they hope to continue the program into the future. Well, have you ever wondered why God gave us two kidneys when we only need one? There's a man who believes the reason we have two is to give one of them away. Lori Johnson shows us how he gave the gift of life to a total stranger.
John Hembry is a college professor in Atlanta who tries to model his life after Christ's. So he looks for opportunities to give.
I was in the car listening to a story on the radio, and it was about living kidney donors and the long-term consequences. And just a quiet voice inside me said, "Listen to this, I'll tell you the next step."
He decided to donate a kidney to someone, but he and his wife kept that decision a secret until they could figure out who would be the recipient. Meanwhile, across town, David Edwards, a total stranger, was devastated to learn he needed a kidney, but no one in his family was a match.
I figured it would happen, but I didn't know when, so I was just trusting the Lord. I mean, that's all I can do.
Then David's wife met John's daughter and happened to mention her husband needed a kidney. Then John's daughter happened to mention that to her parents.
My wife said, "You don't know it, but your dad's been praying over the last 3 weeks to be a kidney donor a transplant donor, and just didn't know to whom."
David and John were a match, so with no time to spare, they had the surgery at Atlanta's Piedmont Hospital, a procedure John described as easy.
I gave a kidney on Friday. I was dismissed and discharged on Saturday. I was in church on Sunday. I walked for over an hour on Monday.
David is grateful beyond measure and prays others will be blessed as he's been.
The people that see this, I just hope, go get tested. Give somebody else life. I mean, it's great.
For his part, John said he'd do it again if he could.
It is virtually impossible to live the Christian life without the word give, giving, given, gave, any of those words in your vocabulary. It's what Christ, it's a reason he came.
Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, a mass baptism for dozens of former Hindus. See what sparked this amazing revival in India.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
India is now a major economic power, but many people still there live in tribes. Traditionally, most of them have been Hindus, but the untold story is that a major shift is taking place in the largest tribal community. Hundreds of men, women, and children are now being baptized as Christians. Here's George Thomas from the highlands of central India.
Ask Dinesh Sur why so many tribal people are accepting Jesus Christ, and he gets teary-eyed.
When you do God's work for years and begin to see the fruits of your labor, it is overwhelming. You see the changed lives, you see the eternal happiness on the faces of people, and how can it not move me?
Here, in a corner of Rajasthan, where the majority follow Hinduism, a Christian chorus is rising.
The transformation is almost immediate. Families stop praying to their ancestors, they stop drinking, they stop their witchcraft, their entire life is turned upside down when they accept Jesus.
And Dinesh Sur is part of the reason why so many are turning to Christ.
For 10 years, Pastor Dinesh served in a big city, very much like this one, but then God tugged on his heart and told him he had to go back to his village, go back to his roots, go back to his own people, and share the good news of Jesus Christ.
I was like Jonah in the Bible. I didn't want to live in my village. I wanted to serve God in the city where things are easier. I wanted to reach others with the gospel, not my own people.
Shur points to Sohan Lal's life as fruit of his decision to return.
One day, Pastor Dinesh told me about Jesus Christ. He told me that if I put my trust in him, I would be healed, that my life would be different. I did.
Sohan Lal joined 178 of his tribe's people recently at the edge of this river, not too far from their village. Here, they were baptized by Pastor Dinesh.
I know all these men and women personally. I know what their lives were like before they met Christ. Now to be part of this spiritual milestone in their lives is an enormous privilege.
Dhruv Bahai has been waiting for this day with great excitement.
After I accepted Christ, I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, and I stopped getting into fights. Getting baptized was my way to show the community that I'm a changed man. Today, Jesus Christ is my Savior.
Manu was among the dozens of women who also got dunked in the river that day.
I feel very happy after my baptism and thankful I received Christ in my heart. I will now follow him the rest of my life.
And not just her. Her husband and children also decided to follow Christ after Pastor Dinesh spent several occasions with them.
My family is blessed because of Christ and because someone was willing to come and share the gospel with us.
Pastor Dinesh is a member of the Bil community, one of the largest tribes found in the central states of India. Dinesh says foreign missionaries have been ministering in this area for over 135 years and have never seen the results he's witnessing today. Christians are still a minority within a minority in these parts. However, reports claim that as many as 300,000 have become believers in just the last 10 years, many of them from among the Bil tribe.
We have 42 house prayer groups meeting in about 22 villages. We also have 32 workers from our church going from village to village as evangelists sharing the gospel. In the coming year, my goal is to send out missionaries to neighboring states to reach other Bil villages.
Jivani Karadai is one of those who travel from village to village. When she's not on the road, you'll find this spry 65-year-old also co-leading a house group with Pastor Dinesh. On the day CBN News met her, she and dozens of believers were having church under this tree.
Our group is getting so large, we don't have enough space in my house.
Karadai's testimony is the reason this meeting is even happening.
About 6 years ago, she used to roam the streets of this remote village. In essence, as a mad woman, she used to walk around naked. But then she had an encounter with this man, Jesus Christ, and today she leads a thriving church here in Rajasthan.
The villagers used to make fun of me. People said I was cursed. Then I met Pastor Dinesh and he prayed for me and I was healed. I was delivered.
Pastor Dinesh says these testimonies are just another reminder for him how important it is to obey and trust God.
I am living the fruits of my decision to come back to my village. Is it easy? No. Do we face challenges? Yes. But we have Christ to lean on. He is all we need to see change among my people.
George Thomas, CBN News, Rajasthan, India.
Trust and obedience. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road?
Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Thousands of cars travel along Interstate 75 in Tennessee every day. Most drivers not even aware of what's on either side of the highway. But now there's something they will not be able to miss. Charlene Israel explains.
3 giant crosses now stand right next to the highway in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The tallest one, 125 feet, flanked by 2 100-foot crosses. The crosses are so big they required approval from the Federal Aviation Administration and the Department of Transportation.
I've got the best view of it, so no, it don't bother me. Shouldn't really bother anybody, I don't think.
But some residents are critical of the crosses. They took to Facebook to voice their opinions. It's not the actual crosses they have an issue with. It's how much the Crossing Church of God spent to build them. The project cost $700,000. Critics say that money could have been spent on social causes. Pastor Terry Harris pointed out it was private money and the church already has ministries for the homeless and the hungry.
But when it came to realizing it's a big expense, but what an opportunity to be able to get the message out to people that may never hear it.
He sees a greater purpose in the crosses.
To invest in somebody's eternity. People will ride this road whose hearts are broken, whose lives are just falling apart. And if they see that, we're trusting that the Lord's going to be able to speak to them and say, hey, there is help.
Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Way to go, Chattanooga. That is going to do it for CBN News today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us again right here next time. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everybody.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.